Greetings, programs. Welcome to Hydaelyn's Heroes, the Final Fantasy XIV podcast, where whether you're a warrior of light or a warrior of darkness, all are welcome on the star we call home. I think there's a patch that happened, 6.2 or some short of shenanigans. I guess we got content, so I guess we should talk about it. It's been a long week. It's been a really long week. Yes. So much so that we missed our Friday show. Tark was ill, Piers was busy and didn't get content done until today. Was it today that you got caught up?
I got most of it done yesterday, but I finished some stuff up today. So.
All right. Without further ado, though, the Omega weapon to my Midgar Somer, the Quadfather himself, the one and only Piers Harvey. What's up, dude?
Why do you get to be the dragon? No,
I'm the hero of these.
I mean, and look, to the Omicron's Omega's the hero, so
yeah, and they're all wiped out. So, and
that's fair.
And whereas the Dragon Brood surviving, not doing great, but they're surviving.
Yeah, I mean, Nidhogg is, and then Azdaja is. I guess we'll get to that, but anyway, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. The patch has been really, really fun. I've been having a really good time playing it, but yeah, like you said, I just haven't had a lot of time to get into it, or I hadn't had a lot of time to get to it by Friday, but I finally got to dig my teeth into it yesterday.
Sweet.
So I'm looking forward to talk about it with you. So
awesome. Overall, I mean, I feel like this is one of our best content patches that we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we haven't even gotten Savage. Like the MSQ was great. Saw some different things with like how they deal with zones and dungeons, and we got the MSQ and the trial tied together, and we got a big new piece of content in Island Sanctuary. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm really having a good time with this patch. They did a really good job with it. So,
and we got more stuff next week with this is non-spoiler. This is non-spoiler. Yeah. So we're gonna just talk about things here. Next week we'll talk about story, and we might even have a special guest. Ooh,
oh really?
Yeah, our first special guest. Be good times. But we have 4 topics here today. We developed them ourselves, but what we really want is to hear from you folks. So if you guys wouldn't mind dropping an email over to tarkothgaming@gmail.com, drop a comment or a question in that email, and it could possibly be a main story quest here on Hydaelyn's Heroes. All right, with that done, let's start with our first main quest. And that quest is patch 6.2 is now live. It's too soon to give spoilers, but can you guys give your thoughts on the MSQ as a whole? How is the dungeon, and do we like the trial being tied to MSQ? You know, Piers, with you having it a little more fresh in your mind. Mine's a little hazy now with after a week and being sick on Friday. Let's start with you. How do you feel about the MSQ as a whole, without like revealing much in the way of story? And do you like the trial as part of the MSQ?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a lot to complain about when it comes to the MSQ. I thought it was sufficiently lengthed. I don't think it was too long. I don't think it was too short. They throw you right into the dungeon pretty much right off the bat. So if you're looking to get into that new dungeon, there's not a whole lot you got to do before you get in there. The trial is a little bit further in, but it's not too painstakingly far.
Yeah, I think it's like 2/3 the way in.
Yeah, it's just kind of a slog if you wanted to get right to the trial like day one. You got to kind of had to like shotgun through the story, but I think it's fine. I've really liked the story. It's kind of, this whole patch is kind of edgy. It's got this weird edge to it, and I kind of like it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a sucker for
the dark and the void.
Yes, dark and void, and that's not even getting into pandemonium and that kind of dark and kind of edgy stuff. So just the whole patch is kind of like that, but I'm really having fun with it. I think the new NPC, who I won't name because of spoilers, but I think we did see them or her in the trailer, I think it was. So we did see her in that, and I think she's really great. really kind of brings a new look and a new perspective about the 13th.
Perspectives, yeah, that's a good word for it. Perspective,
Yeah,
yes.
a new perspective about the 13th that we haven't gotten, and I'm really excited to learn more about the 13th and what potentially we could do to maybe even help the 13th. We don't know yet. So yeah, but what did you think about it?
Well, let's start with the NPC. I feel that this NPC has quickly become one of my favorite characters in all of the story at this point. And that's a tall order considering Y'shtola is my favorite. And this NPC is rivaling Y'shtola. So I'm excited to see how this character grows and learns. Because it's kind of a, you have to this character, I'm not trying to give too much spoilers here, comes from the 13th. That's where we meet them. So this is their world. So the 13th is the only perspective they have. So it's really intriguing to get an outside perspective on how this whole other shard works. And God, the metaphysics of Final Fantasy 14, what they lay out for us is just absolutely incredible. How they keep layering stuff on and keep teaching us new things about how this game and its world works. It just blows my mind because it's still all cohesive. So yeah, we might be on different shards, but it all still works together incredibly. And I was floored. What's up, Mannequin? Greetings, program. The other parts about the trial being part of the MSQ, I like it a lot. I think it brings more weight to the MSQ. Whereas when it's separated, you know, it's a little bit more bare bones. You get a dungeon and then there's, you know, story beats and traveling around. But, you know, when you get two pieces of actual combat content in the MSQ, I feel it adds a lot of weight to it. Do you concur or do you disagree on that?
No, I do agree. I thought what they did with the weapons storyline last expansion was good because
Sure.
At some point it was part of the MSQ and then it just kind of forked off into its own thing.
Yeah.
But I think they did the story really, really good. There was
Absolutely.
Decent cutscenes and I had a lot of fun with that. But I think if you think back to something like the Four Lords, I think they could have done a little bit more with the Four Lords.
Yeah.
I think there maybe it would have done it a service if it was attached to the MSQ in some way. But
I think the disappointment for the Four Lords was that you didn't actually fight the bad that you were gearing up for. It was all like a cutscene. So that was my disappointment with the Four Lords.
That was really strange, and like we were trying to prevent like that being from being like resurrected or something, but it like, I mean, this is spoilers for an old storyline, but yeah, it ends up getting revived, and like we don't even like fight it; it just gets kind of like whisked away or something.
The Four Lords really do their thing, and with the help of a turtle dude, I forget his name. And that just basically gets resolved without our real intervention. So it's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, it was really weird. And I guess this trial being attached to the story is really interesting because we're going to get to learn more about this set of trials through the main story. And there's even, after you finish the MSQ, there's another quest you can take to learn even more about these characters.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool and well done. And I want to talk about that with you, I guess, next week. But so I really enjoy it. I think it's well done. And I am looking forward to see what they do with the future trials.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So we're not gonna spoil the trial or who it is or what really, but we will dive into the dungeon because that was part of the live letter. It's part of the trailer. So the Fel Court of Troya. I mean, I did it with trust. I tried to now do all of the MSQ dungeons with trust because they are putting a lot more dialogue and story bits in with that, and which I really appreciate. So it kind of livens up the dungeon, but also brings it down because trusts are so goddamn slow.
Yes.
So I kept thinking as I was doing the trust, I'm like, okay, well, we could wall to wall this pack. Okay, we could wall to wall this pack. This boss would be dead. So I mean, it was a typical Final Fantasy 14 dungeon. I liked the aesthetic though. You know, they remarked about the picture on the wall, that being part of the mistress. I probably wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't do trust. It had just been like, oh, look, there's the picture on the wall. I liked, you know, oh, there's a little hidden passage behind the door. There seems to be some access ways that we aren't able to actually access. So maybe they're planning to reuse Troya in like a hard mode at some point. So a lot of fascinating things with this dungeon. But also, you know, I'm a huge Final Fantasy IV is my #1 Final Fantasy. God, the nostalgia hits in this dungeon. So good. And we're going to, you know, this is not a spoiler. He was a part of the trailer and all that fun stuff. Yes. So yeah. Scarmiglione, really, it was such a good fight for a dungeon boss. And then the fact that there's a second part after the dungeon is just like, oh, so much nostalgia. But what do you think of the dungeon, Piers?
I thought it was really good. It's probably going to be one of my favorites to do regularly. I'm somebody that does do their expert roulette enough to make sure that they get their tomes. That's how I tap my combs. Cap my tomes. That's how I cap my tomes. I know a lot of people PvP, and a lot of people like you. I know a lot of people do hunts, but I like to do roulettes to get my tomes, and it's exciting to know that I'll be able to get that dungeon in expert. I think it's just great. I think all the pools are easy enough to burn down. They go pretty fast. I think the bosses are really interesting, especially the first one. I am someone who does like ad bosses because I like having to use my AoE kit in a boss rather than just using it on trash. Sure. So being able to mix in like some AoE into a boss I think is really interesting. And yeah, obviously, Scarmiglione was really, really fun. The music is fantastic. I knew it was going to be. And I didn't go in with trusts. I wanted to because there is a spoiler. There is, I won't say who it is, but there is a new trust that you can bring in there. And I really wanted to try him out. But I'll just have to level up my trust and get there and try it with him next time. So
you might be able to do it. Possibly.
I'm not sure how that works.
I think you actually have to go where the dungeon is.
Gotcha. And then queue up with
that way, maybe.
All right. I'll have to try it out because I think that would be an interesting experience to get some perspective from these characters that we're bringing into this dungeon. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to doing it more in the future. And yeah, I really like everything about it. I like the theming of it. I thought it was really cool, especially when you first get in there and all like the hallways are warped and stuff, and there's like weird reflective goo on the wall that like reflects your character like in reverse. It's like really interesting. Like put some really interesting details.
Yeah, and I actually went up to the wall because I wanted to see if it was like something that was, you know, close to the wall, but no, it's actually the wall. So that was actually really cool. It was kind of actually unnerving. It was like, that's like goo, but it's like a reflection. It was a little, it really added the ambiance of the whole dungeon. I do not agree with you on the first boss. Well, I think horde mode is an interesting premise and is best used in like solo instances. I don't think it's particularly like, I feel like you could burn through that, and it's, yeah, they layer some mechanics on top of it, but it's not really interesting to me. And especially with just one character model for all the different enemies is like, okay, so sure. I mean, I love that character model from Final Fantasy IV. It's a good enemy model, but I think where it really picked up was the second boss, seeing a twist on gaze mechanics. That was kind of cool. And then Scarmiglione, I'm trying to use the more, you know, formal Italian that they've been doing.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm so used to being Scarmiglione and really pronouncing that G, but it's apparently hard silent with the Italian. So I'm trying to use the Italian, and they use that for the other trials characters that were going to come up in the rest of the expansion. Yeah. So it's taken my brain a little moment to adjust to that. But if you want to be culturally sensitive, I probably should pronounce it right. At least sure. I feel that way. But yeah, I was 8 when I was like Scarmiglione. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, I that's how I say it. Yeah. I would maybe say Scarmiglione, but like they really go hardcore with these pronunciations, and there's no spoiler. When they say Cognazzo, they say Cognazzo, and it's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
it's like that is very strange to me. So we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see how they pronounce Rubicante and stuff. So,
yeah, and Barbariccia, that really Chia, the double C is a Chia, Barbariccia.
Yeah, instead of Barbariccia, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So,
but overall, cool. It's a good dungeon, not great, and again, it's just the MSQ, so kind of traditional dungeon fare. I'm really looking forward to Criterion Dungeon, so that's really, I'm like whetting my appetite for good hard mode content.
For sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to wait like 6 to 8 weeks for that, but it'll come.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll have some Savage to deal with in a couple days, so good times. Anything else with the MSQ that really piqued your interest, or
nothing too different from what we've normally gotten? Okay. There were some quests where we had to escort some NPCs around, and they gave us some interesting insight. Yeah, I know you're not a super huge person about it, but I kind of like getting that little extra tidbit of lore here and there.
I mean, I do it, but it's to get that extra tidbit of lore, but it just seems like it's just tedium at this point. Yeah, it feels like it's something I have to do instead of I want to do.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess very minor spoilers about the main MSQ. I won't go too much into it, but they will use Troya after you beat Troya as a dungeon. They will use that area as some MSQ area that you can walk through and talk to NPCs. I thought that was a little tedious, having to go back to the beginning and then back to the end of it, then back to the beginning and going back and forth. Now you can mount up in there, but still it was kind of tedious just going back and forth. So I like that they're using the dungeon as an area to explore with NPCs and with MSQ and just that kind of thing. But I think they could have done it a little bit more fluidly in this sense, but I like where they're going with it, and I hope they do more stuff like that in the future. So
yeah, I didn't know you could mount up until I got one trip all the way down.
Yeah.
And then apparently there's also an NPC that can port you back and forth.
I did not know that. So.
I didn't know that either. So
yeah.
But once I found out you could mount, my chat told me, I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit better because this is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Very intriguing, but a little annoying. So being actually able to explore the 13th, I'm super excited about, because we've heard about the 13th since A Realm Reborn. Everyone's summoning Void Sense, and black mages are bad, and all that fun stuff. So I'm totally excited about it. But at this point, we want to throw it back to you folks. Tell us what you think. Do you like the MSQ? Did you like the dungeon? Do you not like the dungeon? How do you feel about the trial being part of the MSQ? Did it make it too long, or was it just right? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. With that out of the way, though, let us move on to main quest number 2. Main quest number 2. Do you gentlemen like long flowing hair? Do you get upset when it gets tangled? Maybe you should let the wind blow through it. Oh, and what do you think about the extreme version of the trial? All right, you finished it first, so again, I'm gonna cut it to you at this point. Piers, what did you think of the extreme?
I think it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of my favorite extremes that we've had in a very, very, very long time.
Nice.
Love this fight. I think it's great. Now, as somebody, I normally play red mage, so I do know what cast times are, but I can't understand that some jobs, probably like black mage, are not going to like this fight too much.
Oh my god, so much movement.
It is a dodge fest and a half. That's basically the whole part of this fight is a dodge fest. I mean, the first phase isn't as bad, so when she's in her sword form, it's not as bad. But when she loses the sword and she goes curling iron or whatever it's called, it's all dodging all the time. And I just kind of like how frenetic and how fast paced it is.
Yes.
And it's something I'm definitely going to look forward to doing more in the future. So I love it. I think it's great. But what about you? How do you feel about the extreme? I'm curious how you feel about it.
Well, let's see. I love the fight, but I currently have mixed feelings about it because it took me 7 hours. What's the word for it? Instances that I went through.
Yeah.
I think 5 different parties. 2 of them went two whole sets of instances. So it took a long time to get my first clear. But once I learned the fight, they're like, let's get in comms. I'm like, great, because I'm going to call this crap out because I know every single inch of this fight after 7 hours. So when our team gets to it tonight, and we farm out some weapons, you can expect I'm going to be calling some shit out. But yeah, I love the fight. You're right. It starts out like a decent extreme. But once you get to that second phase, it's shotgun. It's just boom, boom, boom. She'll take a moment to kind of reload and with transition phases, but then she's just back at boom, boom. I love a pace like this. Give me more of it. It's a lot more interesting than Endsinger, where there were some problem-ish mechanics there. But this is like another level of difficulty, and I appreciate difficulty like this. And the normal mode is not half bad either. I mean, it has its same frenetic pace. It's just amped up in extreme. So if anybody wants to do normal, I'm all down for doing normal and help you get through it. Because it was one of the best normals that I can remember doing, and just having so much fun with it. And again, with the battle music that's accompanied with it, how can you not just be like, oh, give it to me, give it to me? But the best part of the music, though, and I'm sure you picked up on it, and most people will, it goes through the song, but when it goes for its loop, it kind of goes into a subdued 8-bit version of it, and then it gets back to its loop. So I feel that's fascinating, and I hope Soken, I can't wait to see what Soken does for different themes to this music. It's choice. Give it to me all day. So good. But yeah, I can't wait to get in there and get some weapons to be prepared for Savage. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get it done tonight. I think we will. So, do you have yours yet? Would you be able to manage to get your weapons?
No, I only got one clear, and I was like, oh, thank God. So I got the clear so that if I want to go back in, I can go in a due to completion instead of a learning party. Because I had seen Enrage like 5 times, but the only parties I could find were like P1 learning, P2 learning. So I'm like, oh, God, damn it. I don't want to go through another 2 hours learning this. I know the fight. There are some tricky parts near the end, but it's still, it's great. I do want to know how much hairspray, how much hair product, combs this individual needs to go through, because that's just, there's so much hair. It's all over the place.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the work that they put into their hair. It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, would you, if you had hair like that, would you, bayonetta it and become your own armor?
That is kind of what this boss does, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Bayonetta influence in this, I feel like. So yeah, maybe the dev team just got finished playing Bayonetta 2 or something, or maybe they got an early access of 3 and they were like, I'm gonna put this into Final Fantasy right now.
Yeah, good times. Just to give a little more, what was your favorite mechanic and least favorite mechanic from this extreme?
I really liked the quarantine thing where it grabs two people and puts them in to their own little area, and they get slow, and you have to dodge inside that little area.
You got AoEs and enumerations.
Yes, I like that a lot. So
nice. What's your least favorite? What's your least favorite?
My least. Let's see. There's not a whole lot. I think that the PlayStation mechanic. Okay, PlayStation 1 is less complicated than it seems, and it's probably too easily handled with. Yeah. So I would say whenever I get there, it's just kind of like an eye roll. It's just basically free DPS. There's nothing to do. So maybe they could have made that a little bit more involved. I think PlayStation 2 is done well enough. And yeah, that's really the only complaint that I have. I think that the punching that this character does, the massive raid wides, the consistent damage, I think that can catch some people off guard and can kill a lot of people really fast when they're not expecting it. So I wouldn't say that's like a least favorite mechanic, but it's definitely a challenging one. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So what about you? Favorite and least favorite? I'm sure you have some opinions. You were in this 7 hours.
Favorite? I have two favorites. So 1A is the punching mechanic into Mario Kart merry-go-round into flares and stacks. Like it's part of the shotgun mechanic. It's like mechanic, and then big mechanic. It's like you really have to be on top of your game with your mitts and your healing. So being a healer, this is one of my more favorite challenging parts. And you really need everyone together. Even one person, I'm like, where's my rescue? Where's my rescue? Get over to this other side. You're going to screw everything up. So that's 1A for my favorite. 1B is going to be it's kind of a quarantine. It is the quarantine mechanic, but it's also the bullet hell part.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I really like I love it when they do different stuff in here. So you're dodging so many AoEs. Black mages are gonna freaking hate that part.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're all saying we love it, and it's like so great. That's why I said the quarantine was my favorite, because of that specific part of the fight. But man, there's gonna be some people that hate that part.
Yeah,
like hate it. I'm wondering how Fuji feels about it, because he's gonna be in there tonight, and maybe black mages can save enough resources that make it less painful. But
I guess save both your triple cast for that part. I guess maybe, I don't know
for sure. Yeah, but yeah, I love that mechanic. It's so good.
My least favorite is PlayStation 2. You can too easily overlap and just screw everything up on the enumerations, because too few people, you're blown up. Too many people, you're blown up. So I just feel it's a little, I don't know, too tight, maybe that's just me then. But at this point, we want to hear from you folks. What do you think of the Extreme Trial? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What is your favorite part of the Extreme Trial? Or did you hate it and you think everything just sucks because you have to move too much and you're a black mage? So leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. All right, at this point, we are going to move on to main quest number 3. And main quest number 3 is a new raid tiers. New raid tiers are always a hoot. Need y'all's initial impressions of Abyssos normal. Is it better or worse than last tier? Also, how you feeling about Savage being pushed back a week now that you've had a chance to experience it? And I guess I will start with this one. Right off the bat, I am really appreciating the Savage being pushed back. Not having the pressure to get the MSQ done and do trials and extremes. Because especially with an on raid patch, those weapons are going to be some of the best that you get, unless you're going hardcore crafting and doing all those melds. So I appreciate the time to do the MSQ. I appreciate the time to do the normal mode without being rushed and be like, all right, I need to have this done so I can have my raid ready as soon as possible. I also think that this gives the crafters the time they need without feeling rushed themselves. I have looked at the market boards and I don't think that there's any concern about the pricing because they're still sky high. Maybe it's gone down a little bit. I haven't played in a couple days, but last I checked, the prices were still like top tier. Like if you wanted to get that stuff, I mean, you're shelling out pretty penny. So, yeah, I'm really loving that extra time and being able to prepare. Yeah, it's great. As far as the normal modes themselves, I think this is a step up from Asphodelos normal. On a case-by-case basis, 5 is definitely better than 1. 1 was just, I could get through that without doing much healing at all, and as a healer, I found that to be extremely boring, and I had to force myself to remember to use some of my resources so I could get my mana back. So that was a little frustrating. So 1 or 5 is a lot better. 6 is better. Again, it's not. It's only a smudge better than the hippo, and maybe that's only because we had the hippo for so long, and it was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just done with that guy. I want to say 7 is where it really gets a lot of fun. I don't know how many times that I've really messed up mechanics, but I swear that first time through 7, I died quite a few times. And I was like, wait, what is that? Oh, okay, wait, nope. Okay, now I'm dead. Missing room transitions, thinking that circles are bad when they're actually the safe spot. So that was fun, getting knocked off like that. Just a lot of cool combinations in 7 that made me go, oh, this is really cool. I can't wait to see what it is like in 7 in Savage. I did not take the bait on the safe spot in the middle of the room, but I did watch other people plummet to their death. That was awesome. That was absolutely hilarious. So that's always a good time to watch people not get a mechanic the first time, like, ah. And then I want to say that 8 maybe is not as good as 4. I felt 4 and its floor mechanics and combinations was a lot more interesting than what 8 did. 8 does use some cool gaze mechanics, kind of like what we got in the dungeon, so that was a little bit of a prepare. But I don't feel that it was all that intricate in what we got in 8, but I expect that Savage to ratchet that up significantly, especially with more than likely being a 2-part door boss and then a final boss. So, but with my initial thoughts, Piers, what did you think of Abyssos Normal?
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was really, really good. I think all of the fights in this tier were better than their previous counterparts, and that could just be, the fresh new coat of paint. That's why I like everything better. It's just fresher in my mind. But I think that all of these are more interesting mechanically and thematically, and I think the music is a lot better, which really goes a long way.
Music is tons better because they use the same song for 3 of the fights, right?
Yes.
In Asphodelos.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, they're using the three of the same songs in this tier too. Just one of them is without lyrics. The first fight doesn't have the lyrics to it, and then the second and third fights actually add the lyrics. But it's still the song is excellent. I think "Scream" is a fantastic song. That's the song in 5, 6, and 7. I have only done 8 once. I think that it's a lot easier than 4 was. That we didn't really have any trouble. But I remember just not really enjoying the whole Pinax mechanic from 4. And there was really nothing that I disliked that much from 8. So I'm interested to see where they go with it in Savage, because it was a little too easy for me, I think. Gotcha. As a final fight in a normal mode tier. But I do look forward to going back and clearing it regularly for the weekly loot, and then looking to see what they do in Savage. So I have nothing but positive things to say about the raid fights as a whole mechanically.
Cool.
And yeah, that's where I'm at. So
one thing I do like about this normal, it has been talk about the gear, and then being VFX as part of raid gear. I am extremely happy that the normal mode versions still have their glows.
Yeah.
The only issues is that you want to complete the set and have the weapon and its glow, you will have to do Savage and finish that. So there is a little give and take. If you want just the armor set, if that's what you really care about, cool. Just do normal. But if you want the weapon to go with that, you are going to have to do Savage. And I feel that's an appropriate reward, because at the end of the day, unless you're doing ultimates, you know, once you have the weapon, I mean, you've cleared the content. So it just makes clearing the content again easier. It's not really required, because by the time you get to a new raid tier, you're going to have a new crafted set, a new normal set to get anyway. So I feel that's an appropriate give and take on rewards, normal versus Savage, that we get a VFX weapon to go with this armor set. And God, they all look so freaking cool.
They do. They all look really excellent. And of course, being able to dye this gear that has these effects on it too is going to be a nice boon for all those glamour hunters out there too. So I'm really looking forward to that, being able to dye some of this really excellent looking gear. So,
and I bet that we won't be able to do 2 palettes, you know, one for the armor, one for the VFX. But God, that would be so amazing. Please, Square, at some point do that.
That would be cool. Yeah. And I mean, one thing about this gear being so excellent is that a lot of people are looking to get it when you run normal mode. So there's a lot of horror stories of people out there having to run a fight 1,000,000 times because everybody's lotting on the body piece just to get that glamour. So I guess in that sense, it's kind of crappy, but I still think that it's well worth it in the end.
Yeah. I wanted headpiece first. I didn't actually look at the stats before going into normal. I should have, for, you know, raid purposes. Savage purposes. I should have looked at stats to see what piece I wanted, but so many people were wanting body piece that I was like, all right, I'll just get the head. And, you know, I rolled a 20 something on a headpiece and I had no problem getting it. So I was like, yay. Yeah. So I got the headpiece and 2 accessories, and yeah, I was like, okay, cool. And then next week I will, you know, go for stats. I think body piece is where I want to get it, and maybe everyone has gotten their body piece, so it'll be a little bit easier for me to get mine next week. So, hey, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you get for your pieces this week?
I got a body.
How many times did you have to run everything?
Not actually too much. I was one of the lucky ones.
Nice.
I think I had to run, God, maybe the second fight twice and the first fight a few times. Okay. But I was pretty lucky with the 3rd and 4th fight. I only had to run the 4th fight once. So
nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. I got it for stats and for glamour. The body was pretty good stat wise, so I decided I would go with that one. So it just worked out in the end. So everything. I got some pentamelded crafting stuff too. And next week before Savage, I'll be able to run normal mode again and get myself full 610. So I will be full 610 going in for Savage. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Savage is going to be like, because I think there's some interesting things they can do.
Oh yeah. I don't think that our Savage group is going to want to do this, but I would love to just farm the crap out of P8S and get all the weapons for all the jobs, because
I'm the same
to complete the sets. This again, I've said this before, I want all the sets for all the jobs because it looks so good on all of them. So maybe there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance? Probably not. I'm guessing people are like, I'm done. After 16 kills, I'm done. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, we'll see.
What did you think about the story, though? Without giving spoilers.
I thought it was really interesting. I thought that learning about La Habrea was really interesting. So that, I mean, we kind of know that he's in the story. We know he's in the story, so that's not much of a spoiler.
I mean, he's on the damn art, so
yes, and I think he's portrayed really interesting compared to how we know him from the A Realm Reborn storyline and the Heavensward storyline.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes from being the character that we know him in this story to being the character that we knew in 2.0. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most in this story, is that transition, or why exactly he kind of went off the deep end in 2.0. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But overall, the story, I mean, it's starting to ramp up, I think.
Mhm.
I'm already looking forward to the last part of this, which I think they're calling, I forget what they're calling
Tartaros?
it. Yes.
Well, it
Tartaros.
might not be Tartaros.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't know.
because there's a big twist at the end. Heck, it might not even be on Elpis when we do the last raid series, so who knows? I will say I think the story is awesome. Like you, I love the way that they portrayed La Habrea. It just gives further evidence that these were really good people to start, and the Shattering and Zodiark, Hydaelyn, the whole thing really twisted these good people to do something that the star needed, but ultimately they sacrificed the most. Not only their people, but their own personalities and their core being as well. I mean, we saw it with Emmett Selk, but we went to Elpis for the Endwalker story. We saw that, yeah, he was kind of the same person, but you know, this devotion to Zodiark and bringing back and not valuing, you know, life as it is now is such a contrast. So, and there's still a thought that maybe this La Habrea is not the La Habrea that we know. So, I mean, it's still a possibility. We still got another chunk of story to go through. Lastly, though, before we go to our last main topic, what did you think of the cool Konami crossover at the end? I'm not going to spoil it, but
was there a Konami crossover? Did I miss something?
Oh yeah, at the very end of the story, when you finish it all up, wrap it all up, something appears in Aticius, down the Aticius scope.
I forgot about that. Yes. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. And yeah, I mean,
that's what I was saying. It might not be on Elpis, but we'll dive in next week. But
yeah, it does kind of bring up that we might not actually just be right in Pandemonium when we finish this up. So who knows? But yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah.
And again, we'll go into the story more. But one more thing. When someone goes off on their own to collect something and they're like, no, I don't need your help. Like, it's like a horror story. Like, okay, that person's bad things are going to happen to that person's like, you saw that a mile away, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, of course, we're going to have to go rescue them at some point, probably, or who knows what happened to them. But
all right. At this point, though, we want to hear from you folks. What did you think of Abyssos Normal? Do you think it's a better normal raid series than what we had previously? Was maybe part of it that you just were so tired of Asphodelos that you're like, yes, just give us something new? And what did you think of the mechanics in each of the individual fights? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. And without any further ado, let us move on to main quest number 4. So Tataru got me an island? I'm intrigued, yet frightened about what the Lalafell is setting me up for. Can you alleviate my fears and tell me how Harvestella Light plays into Final Fantasy XIV? Okay, I'm going to start this off with the PSA. You're going to go through a tutorial when you start, and you're going to get some currency, and your initial thought is, ooh, cool, currency, and there's a vendor, I can spend it. Don't be like Tark. Don't spend your 4K currency on that cool little minion because you're a minion hoarder. You need to reinvest that currency back into your island sanctuary to get your economy rolling. Once your economy is rolling and you're like rank 8, 9, 10, then you can start using your currency in that vendor shop. So that's my PSA for Island Sanctuary. But overall, I think it's awesome. I can tell it can be a little grindy, especially if you use your currency. You can get really stuck hard. The fact, though, that there is a couple challenge logs, definitely get them done every week. It gets you 2,000 currency. The island calories?
Yes.
Yes, calories. So it gets you 2,000 calories every week. Again, use that to reinvest. Once you've hit the cap, I think it's level 10 on the sanctuary, and you've got your island sanctuary laid out as much as it's going to be, then go to the vendor and your heart's content. But I think it's a really interesting piece of content. It is, I think, a life simulator light version. If you want a full-blooded farming life simulator, Harvestella is coming out in November. I definitely recommend that you may take a look at that. I am definitely going to pick that up. Piers has convinced me that that's going to be a game to do. But I think it's pretty cool as a little piece of side content. I thought that maybe we could spend a lot more time in there, but maybe that's just me messing things up with my currency and not being able to flesh things out as much as I could have. But with that said, Piers, what do you feel about the Island Sanctuary? You were just hunting for a rare.
I was, yeah. I think it's great. I'm not super far into it. I just finished building my second workshop, and I have my mammoth building some sort of like waymarker or something, or landmark, I think is what they're calling it. So I've been building that right now. So yeah, I'm kind of like bottlenecked into not being able to do a whole lot right now with it, except for just gathering. But I think if you just if you're queuing up for stuff and you don't really have anything else you're doing, and you have some time to kill, I think hopping into your island sanctuary and just gathering up materials, because those materials are going to pay off for you in the end, even if you don't need them right now. With the whole system of being able to craft little trinkets to go off and sell for calories, I think that you want to make sure you have a decent supply of all these things. So there's definitely stuff you can do to keep yourself occupied. But yeah, when you're just waiting for like a building to build or something, it can be kind of boring just to wait. But
sure,
it's still something to do. It's something you can do daily. Staying on top of all that stuff, and planning out your week for what crafts you want your mammoths to make, and keeping your plants watered and keeping your animals fed, and going off and exploring and seeing if you can find any of the rares, even though people have already got spreadsheets on where to find each of the rare shiny things.
Yeah, the amount of spreadsheeting and finding all the rare shiny not monsters, they're animals, shiny rare animals, all the spots to farm certain items and the best clusters to go about finding that stuff. My goodness, like I think that was all found within like 24 hours. Some people are freaking crazy.
People are absolutely crazy, yeah. But I'm kind of just going at my own pace. I know that there's like optimized stuff you can do, but I'm just kind of figuring it out for myself.
Sure.
And I'm having a good time with it. I have had to get a little bit of help because I thought you needed a pickaxe to get copper ore, and Winnie out there, thank you, Winnie, told me that you don't need a pickaxe to go get copper ore. It's just in this one particular area of the map I hadn't checked yet. So I was able to get that done and then build another building. So so I have needed a little bit of help, but I've not consulted the spreadsheets yet. So we'll see at what point I'll have to do that. But overall, I've really enjoyed the experience. I'm really excited to see what they do with it in the future, because they do say they want to iterate on it more.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot they can do. So I'm looking forward to that. And the rewards you can get from it are great. You can get crafting and gathering materia, which is always great. Make gearing up those jobs a lot easier. Who knows? Maybe they'll do battlecraft at some point. And just, the glamour, the mounts, the minions you can get, the hairstyles, just a lot of quality stuff you can get from this. So I can see myself being in here for a long time. And I think that they have something really good on their hands that they can iterate in the future on. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it is going to be a shame that it's at probably at the least, though, it's going to be every 8 months before we get an iteration on Island Sanctuary, because they said every 2 patches is their hopeful intent. So it could possibly be longer. But I like what they've started. I will say as another PSA, like don't overgather right off the bat, especially when you're saving that currency, you're reinvesting to expand plots of land and all that fun stuff. Every time you rank up, you can make another tool, and that will allow you to get more items from particular nodes. So like your rocks will just start out with like an island stone, but you get that pickaxe you were referring to. Well, now you can get limestone from it. So if you like overgather, what you're gonna have to go back to those nodes eventually. So
that is true.
Once you get the majority of the tools, that's what I would say. Okay, now's your time to like gather up 200, of a certain item and just be stocked up. Otherwise, you can find yourself like, okay, well, I guess I'll turn in like 200 of these island stones in for green currency because
you could get green.
Yeah, you could get green and get those gather materials. But to save time, I would say maybe, hold off on bulk farming of materials until you get most of your tools. And I think the last one's at like rank 8. So two of the things I don't like, well, another thing I do like, I do like the supply and demand. I think that's pretty cool. So you're not just doing certain crafts. You really got to read that chart to maximize your profits, if you care about maximizing profits.
Of course.
And then the whole making like items, but not the same items, to boost efficiency and get even more currency. And if you like starting this week, I'm doing a lot of 4-hour crafts to boost up what's called groove, which also enhances efficiency. So there's a lot of layers with a economy portion, which is pretty cool. Things I don't like, 2 days on gardening sucks. 24 hours on the pasture sucks. It seems like a lot of hurry up and get this stuff done and wait. And hurry up and get this stuff done and wait. So that's a little bit frustrating because I think a lot of people wanted to just spend time in here, and it is a lot of hurry up and wait. So it's a little unfortunate, but I do think it's a good start. And I can't wait to see what they do in the future. And I can't wait for our Harvestella to come out now.
A proper the whole experience.
The whole life simulator, and maybe in the future we'll get expansions to the island. The mist will part and we can see another big chunk of island. I was a little disappointed that we can't really like fish. I guess we can dive down, but
I wonder if that's something they're going to add in the future, is some sort of fishing something.
Probably
something they can do with iterating.
Sure. Because there's only 2 pools that you can dive down into, and there's limited resources down there. So I was excited when I got clams. I was like, ooh, clams, now I can make this food stuff and alternative. Anyways,
do you need anything to get clams, or can you just gather them?
I think you can just gather them. They're only in the North Pool.
Okay, because I've only found coral and seaweed. So
that's only in the East Pool.
Gotcha.
The corals in the East Pool, they both have seaweed. Corals in the East Pool, the clams are in the North Pool.
All right, I'm gonna go get some clams right after
you're gonna look up the spreadsheets like you just. I myself was like, oh, this is where I get my vines. There's a nice spot where you can just rotate and just get vines all day. You're gonna find spots where you're gonna get your copper, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of copper nodes here. I can just get my copper here all day. So you'll find that like in your own playthrough. But if you wanted to just find what everybody else has done, go for it. I thought it was cool to really explore the island early on, just to see where all these nodes are and all the different kind of animals. It's really freaking cool piece of content, and I want to see more from them. Anything else? Piers, from you?
I think that's everything, man. I'm just excited to get back into it right after we get off of the right after we get off the podcast, dude.
Well, I'm you can't do too much more because I think we have an extreme raid team to get to, right?
We do in an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah,
right.
But unfortunately there is maintenance tonight, so
sadness. Okay, so we have a hard cutoff time.
Yes, I told you, or maybe you don't read raid chat, Tark. Come on.
I mute it because there's just so much inane talk and stuff. Anyways,
my talk is not inane. Thank you. I'll have you know.
Well, I can't I can't exclude certain people's inane talk. It's a whole channel or a whole server.
Whatever. Yes, there's maintenance at 11, so we're only gonna have 2 hours to get.
Okay, well that's perfect then.
Be done.
I can play live then afterwards.
Yes. Actually, yes. I was gonna say, yeah, you got time to play live tonight, so I'll be watching that too.
All right, we're done talking about Island Sanctuary. What do you think about the piece of content? Is it even something that you even care about? Some people, only want the main meat and potatoes. Give me the raids, give me the dungeons. They're not interested in side content like that. But if you are, tell us what you think about it. What did you like? What did you dislike? Drop a comment down below and leave your thoughts there. And with that out of the way, we are done with this episode of Hydaelyn's Heroes. Piers, again, thank you for being here. We'll try to be on next week at our normal time, Friday, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I think we're going to have a special guest. This guy's like a troll, he's got layers.
Like an onion?
Like an onion. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, Piers, where can people find you, sir?
People can find me on Twitch at radio_Piers. I haven't been doing a lot of streaming lately. You guys know the drill. You know what I'm going to say. It's something I've been meaning to do, yada, yada.
Have you picked a day yet?
I've not picked a day yet, and I haven't picked a game yet. But those are two things that are on the docket. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. You can reach out to me. You can send me a message on Twitch or anything.
Or even drop a comment down below, and I'll let him know what you think.
Yeah, or reach out to Tark, anything. Let me know. I want to know what games you guys would like to see, but I'm going to see if I can find something that I would be interested in playing, and maybe you guys would be too. So, but if you are playing Final Fantasy and you want to do any of the new content at all, you want to do the new dungeon, the new trial, the new extreme, any of the normal modes, you just let me know. At Piers Harvey on the Leviathan server, on the Primal Data Center, come by, say hi. I'm usually available, so just let me know, and we can make something happen. But yeah, what about you, Tark? Where can people find you?
Well, if you're looking for me in Final Fantasy 14, you can find me on Excalibur on Primal, Tarkoth Solo. Happy to help with pretty much anything need help with. You want to run some dungeons? I'm all for that. You want to do normal trial? All for that. Normal raids? Let's do it. Even Friday nights. Friday Night Blue. We didn't do it this last Friday. Tark was unfortunately pretty sick. Bad fever for like a few hours. It was awful. But other than that, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. I play Final Fantasy 14 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. And I have alternate adventure Mondays on, Monday, currently playing Bloodborne with my boy Piers in the evening, but also playing in the morning as well. Just for S and giggles and, breaking up the monotony that sometimes is Final Fantasy 14. You can also find me on Ready Check Raideo, and that's Ready Check Raideo, RAIDEO on Twitch. I stream there Saturday and Sunday nights. Typically for 2 to 4 hours, 4 hours on Saturdays, 2 hours on Sunday, where we're currently playing Live Alive. And we've, what did we just do? We did, what did we do? Prehistory.
You're almost done prehistory, yes.
Yeah, and we wrecked the super boss there. That was awesome. So,
that was great.
Yeah, that's where you can find me on all the things. But until next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And remember,
Master Control oversees all on the grid. End of line.
See you guys.
Peace be with you.